Who is ready for a bookish travel haul? No, not all of this. That would be excessive. That wouldn't even fit entirely in my suitcase. I am talking about all of these. So let's start with the Paris haul. I only got 2 books here because at this point we hadn't bought the extra small suitcase yet, and I was still worried about the weight of my overall suitcase, and I knew I was already close on weight.
Wow.
So I wasn't thinking I was going to buy a lot of books. So starting off strong in Paris, I do collect editions of Anne of Green Gables and Little Women. I've been collecting them for years. I have a lot of different editions, old, new, all sorts of things. I recently decided that when I travel, I want to start collecting special editions, not in the sense that necessarily special like this, like sprayed edges, but special to me. I really wanted to find covers that I hadn't seen before, and if possible, I really wanted to get a copy of either book in the language of the country that I was visiting. So in Paris, I was looking for editions in French if I could find them. We found this cute little bookshop and we tried to go in, but the door was actually push instead of pull, and it was super windy, and I did the wrong one. And so I almost just thought it was closed and I didn't go in. And then the shopkeeper came and opened the door and like asked if we wanted to come in, which was really funny. And it was so cute inside. It's called the Tram Library Cafe. Found this copy of Anne of Green Gables that is written in French, which is super cool. I've never seen this cover. It'll look great with the rest of the collection. I'm also gonna add some postcards from Paris inside and write some little notes to myself for memories about the trip. Next up, we went to Smith & Co. This was a really fun bookstore that had a lot of books in English, not too far from a Louvre. It wasn't a part of our trip once again, it was just one we happened to pass by. And I have seen this edition of Little Women before. It came out right before I left, around Christmas time, I believe. But I couldn't resist snagging it while in Paris because I knew I was gonna get it anyways. Why not have it have a little bit extra of a special meaning? But also, it was 24 euros. So it's a little bit cheaper, I believe, than it was in the United States. It's also just a really, really pretty copy. You can put your name for who this painted edition belongs to. And they're also only making so many of these particular books. I believe it's like a limited edition print. There are some like special illustrations in the book as well. On the back it says, "I like good strong words that mean something." So that was a win. Both of the books that I collect. Successful Paris haul to start off the trip. Next up we took the train from Paris to London. And that's where the haul starts to increase a bit more. At this point, I'm still stressing about the weight of my suitcase. I'm telling you, it's overweight, it's heavy, it's packed with winter clothes because it is freezing in all 3 of the countries that we're visiting. So I decided every bookstore I go to from this point on in my travels, I'm going to try to collect tote bags. Found this super cute classic one at Waterstones. I've already been using it, which is why it's a bit wrinkly. I just think this is such a fun special idea because number 1, who doesn't love a tote? It's so useful. Number 2, all of these totes are also gonna have special meaning to you. And number 3, they don't weigh a lot for your suitcase. So, now we're at Waterstones and I was especially looking for any special Waterstones editions. I didn't want to buy books that I could find easily in the United States. I wanted them to be a little bit more special. I was looking for the Waterstones exclusive editions. They didn't necessarily have to be signed, but if they were, it's definitely an added bonus. And what is more classic London British book than this one right here. So I've already read it, loved it. I own it in paperback. I do love paperback, but I couldn't resist this special edition because of how pretty it is. Not only does it have these gorgeous pink sprayed edges, it's also super pretty under the dust jacket. I love when they actually add details to the hardcovers underneath. It is such an exciting, cute little surprise. And look at these end papers. Stunning. Stunning. I am obsessed. And I like that one's pink and one's blue. Like, the attention to detail, it's there. Signed by the author themselves, Casey McQuiston. Next up, I found another special edition. I did hem and haw about this one a little bit because right before I left for the trip, I actually bought this book in the US. I bought Lessons in Chemistry. Waterstones had a better version. First of all, like, this cover is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but this cover just has that pizzazz, you know? But look at this stenciling detail. The periodic table, please. That is so freaking cool. I think this is one of the best, if not the best, detail of a sprayed edge that I've seen. I just think it's so unique. Very iconic. I love the back of it too. This one is not signed, however, it's really pretty once again. Underneath it has the blue foil. Favorite part being the end papers. Hello? Are you seeing this? Look at that. Just look at it. Apparently, this author, Bonnie Garmis, is the Waterstones Author of the Year. So they had these special little bookmarks, and the bookshop owner, when I said I'm not from here and I wanted to get something special, they were like, oh, we have these also. I'll add these into your book so you have something extra. So I thought that was really nice. And she's back. I forgot there's a few other small bookish things that I need to add to this haul. I had to snag a bookmark while also at Waterstones. And I don't know, I've never seen this style of leather bookmark before. I'm not sure if it's something that we have in the United States or that, at least it's not very common, but it kind of reminds me of a little scarf. I just think the detail is very cute, but I saw these all around Europe at the different bookstores that we went to, and I thought this would be a great little addition to the collection. From there, we went to an intentional bookstore. So this one we definitely went out of our way for. It's something that I bookmarked on Bookstagram years ago for places to visit. And I was so excited. I remembered that it was in London on this trip because it's a bucket list bookstore. I am talking about Word on the Water. So it's a cute little bookshop in London that is literally a barge. It's in a canal and it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. I have more content of that bookstore if you want to see. I'll definitely add a link for it down below. But it is just super cute. The owner was really nice. I didn't get any books there because I was a little bit overwhelmed because it was a little busy and there's not a lot of space to browse. Now collecting tote bags, so I did grab a tote. So if we're also thinking of iconic London bookstores, not sure if one comes to mind for you, but for me, I thought of the Notting Hill Bookshop. I don't know if you knew, but it is a real bookshop. In the movie, it is a travel-only bookstore, so only travel books, which it apparently once used to be and is now just all types of books, but it exists. It's the actual bookstore they filmed at in the movie, and I went, got some adorable postcards that I am going to keep for myself. I might even frame them. It's just really cute. I might add this on my bookshelf. I had to grab another tote, yet again. Classic Notting Hill Bookshop. I grabbed some more art. I've never seen this kind of wooden painting before, so I really loved this. Thought this would be a really great addition for my home library decor. I wanted to grab a book as well, but I was extremely overwhelmed. Just went in circles and circles around the store. Didn't know what to pick up. Most of the books I saw that I recognized were books that we had in the United States, so I just felt really frozen with what to choose. But I knew I wanted to get a book, so my fiance Omar actually was like, I'll pick out a book for you, which I always think is kind of fun when he just picks out a book at random. I have something new to read that I would never pick out for myself. I think it's a interesting journey as a reader just to get out of your comfort zone. So he picked out this book. I still am not quite sure what it's about, but it is O. William by Elizabeth Strout. I think it has a really cute cover and it's from the Notting Hill Bookshop, so it doesn't get much better than that. So that is the full haul for London. Now we get to take the train over to our last stop, which is Amsterdam. Okay, I lied. I keep forgetting I have like little small things on the side here. I did find another one of these cool leather fringe bookmarks at the Notting Hill bookshop, so I grabbed one of those. And then when we were at the National Gallery, I am a giant fan of Van Gogh, and I also really love Monet. I found these really beautiful bookmarks. I believe that they are magnetic, yes. So they have little inserts here and just snaps on the side of your book pages like so. Super cool. It tells you what the piece of art is on the back, and all of the proceeds of the bookmarks goes to supporting the National Gallery. Last but not least, we went to the Churchill War Rooms, and I really wanted to get a copy of one of the books that he actually wrote, but for some reason they didn't have those. They only had like editions that other people had taken his work and like spliced it up. I don't know if they exist in their entirety like that anymore. I'm gonna have to do some research because I would like to read those. But I did find another one of these leather tassel bookmarks. It says "Action this day." Now we truly can move on to the biggest haul of the trip. This is when we knew we're buying another suitcase at this point. We don't care anymore. We're going for it. If we have to pay for the extra baggage fees, I was very much YOLO mode. First off, we went to a art museum, a modern art museum. It's called MoCo, the Modern Contemporary Museum in Amsterdam. And they have a lot of original Banksy pieces there. This book is more of a coffee style table book, but it's actually a book that Omar picked out. So I'm really excited that he wanted to grab a book, and this will live in our living room at our new house. From there, we went to some more museums, including the Anne Frank Museum. I'm not sure if any of you can relate to this, but for me as a kid, reading Anne Frank's diary in school, I just really connected with it. I think it's one of the first circumstances that I realized that even though like I was a kid, that kids aren't always safe and bad things do happen in the world, and it just kind of opened my eyes and matured me in a lot of ways, and her voice really spoke to me. I loved her style of writing, and I just felt very connected with Anne. I read her diary quite a few times, but I no longer had a copy, so I knew when we went to the museum, if they had a gift shop, I was going to have to get a copy of the diary. We found this particular interesting size version of the diary. As much as I don't love this size because it's kind of awkward for a bookshelf, this is the edition that we really wanted to go with because this is actually like a hardcover slipcase, and it has this nice fabric. This fabric is actually inspired by what her original diary fabric looked like. So they've modeled it after that, which I think is really special. Inside we have the book here with a quote on the back from Wednesday, February 23rd of 1944. As long as this exists, this sunshine and this cloudless sky, how can I be sad? This is the definitive edition of the Diary of Anne Frank. We also got this version as well. It has more pictures of where they stayed, her history, the family, etc. So actual places you can visit if you go to the museum, but it has just more photos from that time in her life and more information. I did also grab, of course, a couple bookmarks, as I always do. This bookmark has the hidden bookshelf door that is what led up to their hidden annex that they hid in for several years. And I also grabbed a couple postcards so that once again I can write on the back about the trip, just how, you know, the museum made me feel, how I connected with Anne, and just how impactful this really was for me, and then add them inside the book. From there, very, very exciting. I actually have a friend who I connected with in 2020 thanks to, you know, isolation and being on Bookstagram. I connected with a friend named Cynthia, and she told me she had some free time before class one day to meet up with Omar and I to go to some bookstores. So she picked out 3 bookshops that she wanted to show me, and we went on a little book excursion. I highly recommend meeting your bookish friends if you can. It's really, really exciting to share your love of reading with someone in person and to just put a face to the name. Blows my mind to have them exist outside of the internet. Starting with our first bookstore we went to, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but it's Sheltima. So this particular bookstore was really, really cool because it's just very modern. It had escalators going through the center of it. I think it had like 3 or 4 stories, and it was just known for being one of their hubs for readers because they have a really great event space. They even have a kitchen for when people write like recipe books. They'll do demonstrations and promote their recipe books there too. I've never seen that before, so I thought that was super cool. They had all sorts of beautiful displays, and it's like right in the heart of the city, or a busy area of the city, so the views are super pretty as well, plus a lot of cozy chairs to actually chill and read in, which is super cool. I ended up getting a book by one of my favorite authors in English, but it's special because it is actually signed by the author, Rachel Lynn Solomon. I believe my friend was telling me that she spends part of her year living there, or she's moved there in recent years. Regardless, she spends time in the Netherlands, so a lot of books around Amsterdam, if you look for Rachel Lynn Solomon, they'll be signed by her. I was geeking out about that. I thought that was really, really cool. I've read a lot of her books and am planning on reading everything she ever writes. So here is her signature here, and they even included a little bookmark inside. I didn't even realize. I've heard great things about Crying in H Mart, and I do own this. From there, we went to a Waterstones location that was 4 stories also, I believe. Super pretty, super great views, also great places to sit and chill in like little windows with like gorgeous views, like a built-in seat. Ugh, beautiful. At that store, I ended up getting 3 books, starting with this one. I do own this book in hardcover, but once again, I love paperbacks, and I really love that this edition was different than the US version. So I decided to start here with this paperback, but they were having a sale for buy one get one half price. So I found this book. I know literally nothing about it, just got real, but it looks fun. I love the cover, and it reminds me of home, of living in Arizona. We did look around at all of these stores for different editions of Anne of Green Gables or Little Women in Dutch, but I don't know. I did stumble on a version in English because I've never seen this one before because it's from the Penguin English Library. So this is the edition of Little Women that I got. This is very random. Yes, there is an umbrella in my haul. I'm not gonna open it inside. Don't worry, we're not gonna do this whole bad luck juju thing. But it is the cutest little umbrella. I'll put a picture on screen as well, but this is the design of it, inspired by those classic edition books, and I love that it's the weather, and this is actually a really fun, exciting souvenir for me. And yes, it's an umbrella. Last bookish thing I got in Amsterdam was some more bookmarks. I really, really love, like I said, thing I bought in Amsterdam. I mentioned this before, but I really, really love Vincent van Gogh. He was the first artist I connected with as a kid in elementary school. We got to recreate some of his paintings, starting with the sunflowers, and I just had something shift in me. Like, that's when I felt creative for the first time that I couldn't remember, and I just was like, wow, art is really cool. So I've always had this really strong emotional attachment to Vincent van Gogh. So of course, while in Amsterdam, one of my top things to do was to go to the Van Gogh Museum. I could have been there all day, every day for the rest of time, but I did grab these 2 little bookmarks. I love that they're metal. Once again, they have the art information on the back so you can learn a little bit more. We are nearing the end of the haul because we have now gone to Paris, London, and Amsterdam, The trip is over, so you would think I'm done buying books. That's not the case. During our layover in Chicago, I bought more books. I blame the fact that my heavy suitcases were already at baggage. I didn't have to carry them at this point. I had room in my carry-on. So I decided a few more books can't hurt, right? So I was killing time. We had a couple hours. First of all, I started with some cute little postcards to write more notes and memories on the back to put inside the books. But the books I picked were actually very, very intentional, which I try to be intentional most times, but a lot of times I just go for the mood or the vibes, you know. I started with the Paris bookseller. I didn't actually get to make it to Shakespeare and Company, so that'll be a place to visit in future days. But this book is about Shakespeare and Company, a bookshop in Paris, and kind of the history behind it. I'm not quite sure if it's like a fictional version or like dramatized, or if it's more of a non-fiction version. I'll find out. But I loved that I was actually getting a book about a place that I had visited. And then I was looking at this book again, which I've been seeing the cover of, knew I would buy it eventually, but I didn't realize that this book was set in London. So I thought, what's more perfect than get a few books at the end of my trip that were set in places that I visited just for something special. It would have made more sense for me to find one more book about Amsterdam, but I was a little stressed to, you know, finish up and make my flight. I did see this book, which I've never seen before. It's got photos too. It's about the history of Lego, and my fiance and I both love Legos, and I've been wanting to get him into reading a little bit more. So I thought, I'll get a book about Legos. It's got pictures. It's short, it's super accessible, so I thought maybe this would be a good jumping off point to get him interested in reading, but also it's a book that I would want to read too, so win-win, a book we both can love. So that was my haul from the Chicago O'Hare Airport from the Barbara's bookstore. There's something so special about going to bookshops in new places and libraries in new places and just seeing how books connect the world. I don't know, that's really cheesy, but I mean it. Thanks for checking out my booktube channel, The Paperback Bruncher. Please subscribe for more bookish content. I will be posting a lot more. This is something that I'm focusing a lot on this year. I am also on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, so I will put my links down below. If you're on any of those platforms as well, I would love to connect with you, and happy reading.